And we're back. This is episode 491 of the Colombia Calling podcast. I'm Richard McColl here in Bogota, Colombia. And my very special guest this week is in the Antiochian countryside. He was on the show more than a year ago, and we've got him back on to talk about his success story since then. So welcome, Sam. Welcome back on the Colombia Calling podcast.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you for having me back on. Yeah, we last spoke. You said it's episode 491. It was episode 420, and it was exactly a year and a half ago. And so much has changed since then. A lot of as I say, your podcast was the first podcast I ever was invited on, and after that, I had been invited on 8 more podcasts, and even started my own podcast, and we have 12 episodes now. So I attribute part of this success to you, because I had such a great experience with you.
That's very kind of you, but I think it's all down to your content, Sam, and what you're doing. I mean, it's a great story. It's a great story. A guy who used to work on oil rigs, I think, in the North Sea, a Latvian who ends up in the countryside outside of Medellin, helping people, would you say, reach a pathway to spiritual enlightenment through ayahuasca or Yage?
Well, ayahuasca is a multi-tool. At our retreat, our motto is connect, heal, grow. So you can expect to experience all of these. So you connect to yourself, you connect to medicine, to nature, to Mother Earth, then you heal yourself, heal physically, mentally, and then you grow, both professionally and spiritually. So whatever you want, that medicine will probably deliver. And the best part, that it did it for me personally. So I am leading by example. And if you allow me, I will talk about that as well.
I'll promote it. Everything you need to promote, go for it. But let's go back the year and a half then, 60 odd episodes ago, or whenever it was, 70 episodes ago, and let's talk about when we first spoke. You had already offered several sort of retreats for people to undergo ceremonies with ayahuasca with the appropriate Taitas, the shaman, who you brought up from, I think, was it Cauca or Putumayo?
Putumayo, yeah.
Yeah, so you brought them up, and you were having people brought out from Medellin largely, and they were doing, undergoing these sacred ceremonies. A lot of people obviously looking for some sort of solution to problems. But I think when we also spoke, you had bought, or you were going to buy, a huge piece of land not far from San Carlos. Is that, I want to go San Carlos, Ituango, that kind of area. So what I remember, Sam, is that I think you bought a huge piece of land. I want to say San Carlos or Ituango, somewhere around there. You were going to do a big retreat in that area. Is that what you've moved on to?
So yeah, the plan was so I was doing retreats from here, from Fredonia, Antioquia, and I was, when we last spoke, I was considering buying a place in San Carlos, and I did end up buying a land in San Carlos. But few synchronicities later, I ended up buying the actual retreat which I was renting back then to do ceremonies. And it's not as huge as that piece that I was talking to you about. I think it was something like 60 quadras, something ridiculous like that, with the waterfall. This is only mere 4 hectares or 10 acres, tiny comparing to that, but still pretty big. And instead of having a waterfall, as I was expecting to have back then, we do have a creek, and but the place is really beautiful. So, and I think it's way more realistic I guess I was a bit more romantic because imagine colonizing so much land, and it's a big effort. So I'm happy where we are right now, and it's actually where we've been running the retreat for from last time we spoke, and people really love that place. A lot of people, they are emotionally attached to it. So and what also didn't what also helped is I put my Google tag here, and we started collecting reviews. So as of now, I believe we have like 275-star reviews, and moving that location would be probably not beneficial as well. But yeah, so I actually re-listened to our podcast just so I can remember everything we talked about, and not to repeat myself. But a lot of dreams and a lot of goals I set back then became the reality. Like I remember when we spoke, my wife was pregnant with our second kid, and now he's already walking around and saying "Papa" all the time. And we bought this property, obviously, which was a big effort because I'm many things, but I'm not rich, so it was not easy to pull off. And yeah, the retreat has grown. We went from doing 1 week a month to now doing 2.5 weeks a month, so 3 retreats every month. And uh, yeah, on average, I believe we reached more than 1,000 people that came through our doors. And most importantly, we're still one of the most affordable retreats out there, which is not an easy thing to pull off. So I'm kind of proud of that. And yeah, built some cabins and some cool stuff, and a gym and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm very excited where the project is heading. And I must say thank you as well to you and your podcast, because quite a few people ended up coming after listening to our episodes, and what they said is, I guess they liked my uh, down to earth explanation of ayahuasca, because I think they identify with my desire to sort of lower the barrier of entry. So you don't need to be dressed a certain way or speak in a certain way to drink ayahuasca. Ayahuasca truly is for everyone, except for maybe a couple very rare situations. And ayahuasca is, it's for healing and for anyone who wants to dig deeper. And it's not only for spiritual people, right? So I guess that's I refined that message of mine in that episode as well. And I think we've been going in the same direction pretty much. And yeah, very very happy with results.
That's amazing. So more than 1,000 people have done the ceremonies through your retreat, and now you're up to 2.5 weeks a month. So how many people normally come on one of your retreats? What's the average number?
The average is 20 people in a group, and it's actually we experimented a lot. I think we did everything from 10 people to 25, and I believe 20 to 25 is that golden amount where the group is not too big, but also at the same time in the word circles we noticed this phenomena where a person comes, and then in a group there are 2 3 people with a very similar situations, and they kind of learn from each other. And when the group is too small, you're lacking that mirroring effect in the group, because it's funny how sometimes it's easy for us to see our own problem in somebody else instead of ourselves, and it's easy to see solutions for others. And it largely happens in those word circles that we do. I mean, we improved so much since last time we spoke. It seems like a different retreat, and it kind of funny because we do have a different name now as well.
No, your name now is LaWayra. LaWayra. What does that mean?
Um, well, for those who are going to be watching the video, I don't know if you can see this symbol here. LaWayra is the tool that a shaman uses for cleansing. So if let's say you're in the ceremony and you go through a rough patch, shaman comes and he performs a cleanse on you, and they use LaWayra to move the energies. LaWayra is a Quechua word, and the indigenous people in Putumayo, they have Inga is a tribe we work with. They have their language is also in the Quechua language group, so it also means air. So air and wind. So it's one of the 4 elements. So it's a big word. And also, like, our previous name was Ayahuasca in Colombia, and our website is still Ayahuasca in Colombia because it's great for SEO, right? But it's kind of very confusing in a way, because if somebody asks you like, where did you do ayahuasca? They'll say, I did ayahuasca in Colombia, and it's kind of very, very broad. So we found this different name, and apparently our logo is so pretty. We recently made a gate with the logo, and the guy that made a gate for us said 2-3 other people asked him to make the gate for them with the same beautiful flower or whatever it is. I'm like, be careful, that's that's our logo. Don't steal it.
Yeah, you don't need someone to steal. So, and okay, so LaWayra, very nice T-shirt. I like it. Yeah, the logo is very nice, well designed, and everything else. So, quickly, let's get you've done 12 episodes of the ayahuasca podcast.com. Ayahuasca obviously is an attractive subject for many people around the world. I imagine the podcast is doing very well.
So it's really hard to say because we only launched it maybe a few weeks ago. I was kind of collecting different episodes and interviewing different clients that would come through and get great results. I would just talk to them about their stories, and eventually I realized that, I would put them on our Facebook group and just create content. And I was like, you know what? There's like a podcast here. There's a lot of information now, and if I do it regularly, I can make it another job for myself. I already have like 5, right? You probably know how it feels.
Yes.
But basically, what I do is when we have somebody come through our gates, and then let's say they come back later and they say, tell this great story of transformation or how the life changed. I am myself that story, but people want to hear other opinions, but they say, the last episode I recorded is we had a patient, and he came back 7 months ago. He since then completely quit smoking weed, and he was smoking weed for 20 years. And obviously I sat him down and said, Bob, if you want to talk about it. And we spoke about his addiction, how ayahuasca helped him, what's the nature of addiction. And it's kind of those, short episodes that describe specific situations and where ayahuasca can come in handy. I have one on alcoholism. There's one on like parallels in between Amazonian spirituality and like Eastern spirituality from a lady that came from India and is very knowledgeable about it. So whenever I find somebody that comes through our doors who is like especially interesting to talk to and especially interesting to listen to, I always get this idea like I wish I would record that conversation. I'm sure you're familiar with that feeling. Yeah. So I just started recording it, and I don't know where it's going to go, but one of my missions in life, as you probably remember from the last podcast, is give ayahuasca to as many people as possible so they experience the same transformation I personally experienced. And part of that is also education. And I believe the podcast is one of the best ways to educate people on how to do it properly, how to avoid the pitfalls of going to a wrong retreat or drinking with a shaman who's not a real shaman, or, becoming that one of those bad news stories about ayahuasca and instead being one of those great stories. So
yeah, I mean, it tends to be that we hear and remember the bad news. So obviously you're fulfilling an important role. Tell us about, I guess it was Bob, who obviously had his addiction to weed. Tell us about how ayahuasca helped him. I'm curious as to his process, or the person who was an alcoholic.
So with addiction, I always like to use Gabor Mate's words, and Gabor Mate is a very famous writer and also an ayahuasca enthusiast. He always says, don't look for the substance, look for the pain. And the reason is that we as humans can get addicted to literally anything, work, porn, sex, alcohol, drugs, anything that exists there, we can get addicted to, as long as it allows us to run away from pain. So in the case of Bob, right, he had some traumatic childhood experiences that he shared on the podcast, and he also had a pretty traumatic marriage that broke up, and basically that him running away from that pain, his go-to auto-medication method was weed, because it numbed his pain. And when he attended the retreat, he addressed some of that pain. And the thing is that with addiction, you can resist the addiction. Let's say there's a beer in the fridge and you think about it every second of the hour, but you choose not to drink it. And the other thing is, when you feel so good, you don't even remember about that beer in your fridge. And that's a difference where when the healing of addiction comes from addressing the root trauma, you unwrap that tension that then you don't need the substance anymore. And it's interesting because even if you are addicted to something, you can experience that substance and not become addicted again. It's just you take away that main drive. And so yeah, don't look for a substance or behavior. Always look for the pain.
I find that there's something like you are restoring a certain degree of self-esteem to someone like that.
Well, perhaps in some cases it has to do with self-esteem. If, let's say, trauma is related to self-esteem. If, let's say, your mother told you that you're ugly, and then you have social anxiety, and then, you know, to be comfortable in public, you need to smoke weed or drink or whatever other substance you do. It's also a possibility. But sometimes it's not about self-esteem. It's largely about, you know, you being by yourself and doing nothing. How comfortable are you? How good do you feel? If you always feel the need to distract yourself with something, be it work or a substance or something, then maybe there's something going on underneath that you're trying to hide from yourself. And just so happen to be when you drink ayahuasca, it's all in your face. You have no choice but to address it. And you can, it's not an immediate process. It's not like you drink ayahuasca once and all your problems go away forever, but it does begin that process of healing. And that's why, you know, Bob, I interviewed him at the retreat. He came back and asked him, like, why are you back after 7 months? And he said that he liked how he felt and he liked the new clarity, and he just wants to go deeper, because generally we are built on a foundation of trauma. We are conditioned by many positive and negative experiences, but the negative experiences are the ones that really shape us sometimes. And you know, our egos, they're shaped to be a certain way to protect us, and sometimes those egos no longer serve us because, you know, they're overprotective and overreactive, and it doesn't allow us to build relationships. And this is the time you want to look into that and maybe reshape it a little bit with ayahuasca, because many people have told me something like it felt like 10 years of therapy, 20 years of therapy, 15 years of therapy, any number amount of therapy. Different people from different parts of the world have told me that. It's because it does that. It really goes in. I like to say it's kind of like a factory reset for your you know, your computer, your brain.
Okay. And when you talk about this clarity, I guess the ayahuasca and the ceremony and the, I don't know, visions that you have strip away all the everyday noise that don't allow you to see or to find that pain. Is that what you would say?
So it's really hard to explain exactly how ayahuasca works and how it feels in the process, because it's not always even visions. Sometimes it's just a message in the form of realization or a memory coming through. So let's talk about trauma specifically. What you might experience in a ceremony is, so the problem with addictions and let's say mental health issues, when you are depressed or when you're anxious, you don't always know exactly why. Because if everyone knew, then they would probably do something about it. You might not even notice that you're not okay. You're just you're living your life, and maybe you experience it as bad mood. And what ayahuasca helps you do is connect with yourself and your own subconscious, and just uh, you know, introspect enough to understand what's the root, where is it coming from, what happened. For example, in my case, a lot of my issues, they come from the childhood. When I was 3.5 years old, my parents had this great idea to send me to my grandma to another country for a year and a half. And you know, for a little kid, losing your entire world and going to another place, to another people that you never met before, doesn't feel like an adventure. It feels like you've been betrayed, you've been given up, and you might not even recall that it was a traumatic memory. But ayahuasca helps you do that. Like in one of my deep trips, obviously when my native language is Russian, in Latvia we speak both Russian and Latvian. My wife recalled me and she recorded me saying, I was calming myself down now saying, don't cry, baby, don't cry in Russian. It's like, so it comes from there. It comes from very deep. And how else do you, I mean, there are ways to get there, but well, for me personally, ayahuasca is the way. But there are many different plant medicines and spiritual practices that allow a person to go that deep and address that. But yeah, ayahuasca is definitely the one that I found for myself, and it worked amazingly well. And every month we have 60 people, so three different groups come through our doors and leave very happy. And yeah, it's just been a wild ride, but very, very exciting one.
I have to ask, because you've unearthed some obviously points of real interest, and if you don't want to talk further about your childhood trauma, but I mean, do you as an adult remember being sent away aged 3.5?
So I do remember some parts of it, right? And it's the reason I never thought it was a problem, and it took me a while to understand that maybe some of my anxiety, or I would notice that my reaction to certain things would be overly exaggerated. And I noticed that I react especially strongly to betrayal. And then I started thinking, I never had a girlfriend cheat on me, or I never had a real betrayal in my life. So it took me a while to understand where it was coming from, because I later learned that emotion that I felt in that moment as a child was that of a betrayal. So it's like extra strong for me. But do I recall the exact moment and the pain? No, because basically what what makes trauma a trauma is that because it's so painful, your brain just wraps it in layers of other stuff and hides it away in your subconscious, and then it's just sits there and kind of slowly seeks out, like leaks out, and poisons your life in form of depression, anxiety, you name it, in those milder mental health issues. And it's when you work with things like ayahuasca, you can address those and kind of clean them up a little bit. And a lot of time, we talk about purging in the ceremony, and people really hate that aspect. I remember we talked about it last time. When you purge, sometimes you are able to release that trauma. And the difference between a trauma and a memory is that when you then go back to that and you think about it, you no longer feel the emotion. You just remember a memory. But you show me a person and I'll probably be able to find some kind of trauma. Life is impossible to live without being traumatized. So it's not that like I like to say at the retreat, we're not here to compare the trauma. We just all want to feel good. And yeah, ayahuasca is also not only just to treat trauma and heal something, because sometimes it can be used as a tool. Let's say this is good level, and traumatized and sad and depressed is here, but like very successful and happy is here. So you can use it to bring you here, but you can also use it to take you here. And it's a multi-tool.
Of course, of course. And I mean, you've been involved in this now for a couple of years or several years. Is there any way that you could become a Taita or a shaman, the first Latvian Colombian shaman?
Well, there is a patient of ours, or a client, whatever you would like to call it. He's also Latvian, and I think he drinks more ayahuasca than me. So if I would ever set that goal, he'd probably beat me. So Martin, if you're listening, we're the only two Latvians in Colombia, so you'll probably people will know who I'm talking about. But so it's not my goal to become a shaman. I think it's a very difficult job to do, and the job I'm doing, it really is really helping my shaman, because he doesn't have to worry about marketing and integration and word circles and all the other small details. As I say, running an ayahuasca retreat is like running a hotel, a restaurant, and a psych ward together. So, but if I would want to become a shaman, hypothetically, if I drink ayahuasca for 10 years or more and I really focus on that, I could be ready enough to give medicine. And then my shaman could say, you're ready. Here, I allow you to drink, to give medicine to other people. But yeah, I don't think I want that. I have seen a vision from ayahuasca, and I think I shared in the last podcast, but it involved me drinking medicine just with one person. So not a group of people, but just one-on-one with a person. And then the medicine would show me how to help them heal. It was something like that. But a shaman, yeah, a lot of people want that big title of a shaman, but they don't want the responsibility that comes with it. It's a shaman. I like to say shaman is like a neurosurgeon for your soul, and the things they see and understand is beyond. Like since we last spoke, a year and a half have passed. I've seen so many stories of shamans seeing future and past and being so precise. Like I mean, I'm a firm believer now. No matter how skeptical I am, it's just they've proven themselves to me that they do really have amazing talent of you know seeing and understanding things we don't see and understand.
Mm. But and a 10-year commitment as well, of course, to drinking ayahuasca and then having your Taita say it's ready now. It's a long time, and between here and there, anything can happen. I mean, that's the truth of it. You don't know where you're going. So, I mean, let's go through your uh, clientele or the people who come for ceremonies. Are they all foreigners, or are you getting Colombians as well?
I say we get maybe 5% of Colombians, 5 to 10%. We do have some, but it's just that for Colombians they have more accessible like week like 1 day ceremonies here and there.
Mm.
And what we do is mostly for somebody who comes from a foreign country and they want to go and do a deep dive and do one week and do 4 ceremonies. And it also doesn't help that because our majority of our clientele is foreigners, the retreat is in English. So the only Colombians that we can receive are those that speak English, and because otherwise it would be really hard to make it happen. But I do see us maybe somewhere in the future when we can finding a way to also have like Spanish speaking retreats. But it's as of now it's a really difficult task because let's say some of the facilitators on my team don't speak Spanish, and it's tricky. But we do have some Colombians, and they really enjoy the experience as well.
And where do the majority of your customer your clients come from?
I would say 50% North America,
Yeah.
30% Europe, 20% all over the place. Everything from Japan, China, Africa, Australia, New Zealand. A lot, a lot. We have probably like every country in the world. I mean, not every, like a lot of, there's a lot of small countries that we didn't have, but there's really a wide variety of people, and I think ayahuasca has really been growing in popularity, and people are seeking it. Especially, we have a lot of desperate people coming. I remember in last podcast we spoke about people buying one-way ticket to our retreat. It's been happening so many times now, and so far I'm really happy to report that they end up buying a return ticket afterwards and feel better than ever. So, but it's a big responsibility. Like when somebody comes and says, I bought a one-way ticket. If this doesn't work, I'm going to give up on life. And luckily, so ayahuasca can not maybe completely fix them, but at least put them on a path of healing.
When you say they come really desperate, I mean, you suggested there that they're going to give up on life, but what kind of desperation are we talking about?
Well, everyone has a different story, but generally it's some form of suicidal ideation, and it has to do with also with running away from pain. Like somebody's existence is just so miserable emotionally, like they're just never happy and always in pain, where they just ask themselves, why am I even alive? and then when they drink ayahuasca, the medicine shows them how beautiful the life is and how you can live better, and takes away the pain for a little bit to allow them to see clearly, and maybe even to address that the cause, where is the pain coming from. And yeah, it's hard to outline a specific motive, because there's different different stories, but it generally always has something to do with unhappy childhood, lack of love, some kind of trauma, and then also a lack of direction in life, and just unhappy existence, or especially for people that they're in such a bad shape emotionally that they're hurting people around them. Sometimes that also makes them start thinking, maybe if I undo myself, the people around me will feel better. It's kind of thinking. Yeah, it's pretty sad to talk about it, but it's also great that we do have that tool, because it does provide the relief that they seek.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many positive stories that come out of the negative stories. Let's say the people coming with all this trauma, the people coming with addictions and so on. As you say, the great quote: "Don't look for the substance, look for the pain." Are there people who turn up and you say what you're looking for is unachievable? What you're looking for, we need to take down a bit your expectations of what we can do here?
So let's say there are some mental conditions where ayahuasca is not going to help. It actually can make it worse. For example, schizophrenia or psychosis, bipolar. So in that case, unfortunately, I have to say, sorry about that. Psychedelics might not be the route you should pursue, and look into microdosing and other modalities. Also, if somebody comes with, AIDS or terminal cancer, it's a bit too late. As I like to, my thinking on physical health is that our bodies are perfect and we can heal ourselves no matter what disease gets to us, but we can only do that when we are aligned and properly functioning. But if you're in disbalance for a long time, the disease can come through you, and if it's really takes hold, there are moments where ayahuasca will not be able to help you. But at the same time, there's a lot of those mysterious autoimmune diseases where you can trace the beginning of them to a trauma or an emotion, like so-called somatic diseases, and we have a lot of people get released from them, and those people, I then try to sit them down and interview them to talk about it and see if that can give hope to others. But yeah, if somebody is borderline dying and they come to ayahuasca, is not gonna make them come back to life. It's probably gonna kill them faster, because it is a pretty tough process. So if you're on the verge of dying, then I'd say abstain from it and enjoy your family for your last days and stuff like that. We don't get much of that, but we did get people with cancer in remission. That's, I would say, it's a good time to come to drink ayahuasca when it is in remission, just so it doesn't come back, and you align your body, or a shaman helps you, make your natural protections go up. But even for those people that are really, really desperate and have like diseases that don't seem to have solution, I do believe there are other plant medicines or ancestral medicines that can be of help.
You have mentioned on a couple of occasions sort of the possibility of other plant medicines, natural medicines. What are we talking about? Microdosing with, I think, is it mushrooms, the microdosing? I mean, I don't know a lot about this.
Well, you can also microdose ayahuasca, right? But it's really hard to get ayahuasca, because responsible shamans, they will never give you ayahuasca, because you can say it's only for microdosing, and then you go ahead and drink a large amount. So it's really hard to know. But Yeah, mushrooms is that medicine that is easily attainable and is legal in a lot of places. This could be a good tool for somebody to start working on their mental health without pushing it too hard. And just other plant medicines that, for example, the plant, it's not really plant medicine, it's like animal medicine, kambo, which is a frog poison. I
Huh.
think it's really great. I believe, like, for example, if I would ever get cancer, I'd probably just go and do a lot of kambo, because it just really boosts up your immune system. I personally got a lot of relief from like sinus problems and allergies using kambo. We don't offer kambo because I believe kambo is very difficult, and you have to be in a really good you know shape regarding some issues. For example, you need to definitely test your body, make sure you don't have ulcers and stuff like this, because it thins the blood and you can get hemorrhage. So, but if you're okay and you do it, then it's an amazing medicine. So you just have to be very careful when it comes to plant medicines, because they're not designed for the modern people, and we're all somewhat sick. They've been designed for more robust people that live off the land, so they're much more resilient.
This is Campbell, you say, from the toad.
No, it's a frog. The toad one is the bufo.
The bufo, which is the one
Yeah.
where you get the crazy kids licking the back of the toad. Is the bufo?
uh I'm not aware of the kids licking toads.
Yeah, I think I saw it somewhere, but never mind. Good. I'm glad you're not aware of that. Let's not be aware of that. Neither of the Cambo nor the Bufo is licking the back of a toad for hallucinogenic purposes.
No, the bufo is smoking the toad, smoking the venom of the toad,
Oh, God.
and the cambo is applying. Let me show you. So, I don't know if you can see the dots.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
burn a dot on your skin and then apply the frog venom, and you feel like shit for about 20 minutes, but then it's good for you. And as you can see, I was trying to make a little wire of the dots. It's like the wire that I have here.
So they burn your skin
Yeah.
and then put the venom on it.
The frog venom, yes. And obviously your immune system reacts. So the way I've been explained to is you get every cell in your body feels attacked, so it starts releasing those compounds that make you feel better. So this is how it works, I believe.
Well,
But
for those of you, just quickly, those of you who are not looking at this on YouTube, Sam showed his upper shoulder, and it's, well, a whole number of circular burns up there, which obviously where they put the venom on. And of course, as he said, he tried to do it in a LaWayra shape. So it looks like I don't know, a light tattoo at the moment. This is what it looks like. It's like a burn tattoo. Sorry, go on.
yeah, well, that you see in my shoulder, that's like a 2 years worth of many different combo ceremonies. So it's not like you do it all at once. You'll probably kill me that amount. And the reason I've been doing it, because there's nothing pleasant about that process. Unlike with ayahuasca, you might experience pleasant and euphoric moments. With kambo, it's always just pain and purging, and it's terrible. But it absolutely helped me with my allergy and sinus issues. So yeah, once again, we don't offer it at our retreat because I think it's it would if you do it on 1,000 people, I believe it would kill one at least.
Well,
Yeah.
that's serious stuff. And so you go down to the Amazon, to the jungle to do this.
No, I have a another facilitator friend that works with it, and I go to visit him
Okay.
and get some combo.
So you're not branching out. You're not offering this. You are offering just ayahuasca, known as well as, of course, as Yage. You have your Taita, your shaman from the Putumayo who comes up. You've now treated more than 1,000 people. It's amazing. And tell me about, I mean, what's next? Because you've got to such, you said you're going to increase the amount of ceremonies, but it just sounds like you're already, you've reached an amazing point already.
Yeah, we've really done well. On the last point regarding Cambo and all the stuff, just a disclaimer, right? This is not a medical advice, right? So
Yeah.
don't go doing Cambo and then blaming us for referring it. Okay. Same goes with ayahuasca. I am 100% responsible for people that come to our retreat, but do your due diligence when choosing a retreat, because unfortunately there are some bad stories, and do your homework. Look for the reviews, especially in places which the facilitators can control, like Google or other pages. So yeah, on the topic of the business and the plans, yeah, I openly talk about ayahuasca retreat being a business, because there are some people that prefer to not talk about it this way, and I think it's just untrue. And they don't give you price. They say the amount of the donation, and I think it's just sort of hiding behind linguistics. Ayahuasca retreat absolutely is a business, and a very difficult one, and you need to try and charge reasonable prices while still making some money so you can make improvements. So our plan is within next year. Let's make a plan for a year and a half, and maybe
Okay.
we meet up again a year and a half from now. Hopefully by this time you'll come to the retreat and we record live
In
after your
2025.
ayahuasca ceremony. Yeah.
All right.
Well, our plan is to build a medicine house. Finally, it's coming soon, like a standalone, not just like a part of the house like it is now, but a standalone house for medicine only. We've already built 4 cabins, beautiful cabins for people, because some people don't like shared rooms that we've been able to provide before. Plan is to build more. We've already built gym, so if you want to stay fit while at the retreat, you can do that. We already have ice bath. What I need now is a sauna. That will probably have it a year and a half from now. We'll check. We're planning to build a separate space for people to rest, have a space for people to work, have a little coffee shop style area where you can uh, buy a juice or a coffee or a decaf coffee if you're during the retreat. So the plan is to stop just being an ayahuasca retreat, but also become a place where people come to stay long term while being healthy in the nature, working out, working with good internet, being able to eat healthy and have a supportive community around. Because what I did notice after many retreats that we hosted is that the team, the group of people, when they have a ceremony together or share a couple ceremonies together, they really bond. They become like family. They don't want to separate, and a lot of them want to stay behind. And
Mm.
as of now, we're not able to provide that because we don't have space. So the plan is to build that space and have people come for ayahuasca and stay for the community and never want to leave.
Sounds like a lifestyle retreat, and it sounds like a destination rather than solely
Mm-hmm.
ayahuasca retreat. So it's just amazing. And I yes, in 2025 we'll talk again, and so let's just do you some promotion here. Ayahuascapodcast.com. I suppose it's found on all platforms. Very easy to find.
Spotify, I believe, and uh, Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, so it has to be that, unfortunately. Yeah, it has to be there. And then the website, ayahuascaincolombia.com is the website, but of course it's LaWayra. Do your
Mm-hmm.
research, check out the reviews, see what other people have said about it. Sam has no fear because they're all positive, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of positive reviews. And well, I think it's amazing. And it's so nice to hear a story of someone who has, I think, followed a dream and is making a real success on it. So well done, Sam, and thank you for sharing this information with us.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you for having me again. And yeah, what I've been pursuing, and same as you and a lot of your the guests you interview, is that Colombian dream. You
Yeah,
know, and I think I want to talk just last parting words is I'm really grateful to this country because of the access to those amazing ancestral medicines, because of the beautiful weather, and I'm such an optimist on Colombia. I believe if if nobody screws it up, I believe it's going to be a first world country one day. And in our business as well, we've been able to, like, as of now, we have 23 people working for us, building and facilitating, cooking. Our shaman, he's also been able to do really well for himself, and obviously he supports his own indigenous community. And I think your listeners to this podcast, I just want to encourage everyone to come to Colombia, start a family, start a business, create some employment, and maybe sooner or later we'll get Colombia to the point where it deserves to be.
Well, I certainly hope so. Some very, very very appreciated words there, Sam. Thank you so much for ending on such a nice. It's been a positive podcast all together. Of course, thank you for ending on such a high note. I know that my listeners will appreciate this immensely. So let me just say again, ayahuascapodcast.com for those interested in the podcast, and ayahuascaincolombia.com for the LaWayra website. We'll of course put those up on our social media pages and so on. So let me say, Sam, in rural Antioquia, thank you so much for your time. All the best for the future. As always, it's a real pleasure. Let's talk again in 2025.
Thank you, Richard.
You're most welcome. This has been episode 491 of the Colombia Calling podcast. My name is Richard McColl. We've been talking to Sam in Antioquia of LaWayra, and we'll be back next week with further information and stories about Colombia. So, bye-bye.